From the back roads to the boardwalks, from what exit to what just happened. This is Dirty on Jersey, the Garden State's realest headlines, short, sharp, and straight up Jersey. This is Steve from Dirty on Jersey, and this is my story. I've lived in New Jersey my whole damn life, North Jersey to be exact. Grew up in the shadows of New York City. Now I'm in the so-called mountains, surrounded by bears, farms, and more pickup trucks than people. With my job, I've worked with everyone, big companies, mom and pop shops, people from every corner of the state. And let me tell you, Jersey folks, they've all got stories. We get a bad rap. Maybe it's the attitude, maybe it's the smell near that one spot on the Turnpike. And if you're from here, you know exactly where I'm talking about. But New Jersey is full of character. The diners, the delis, the boardwalks, the back roads, the kind of places that feel like time capsules from a better era. This show is about that Jersey, the real Jersey. The people, the headlines, the history, and the weird stuff in between. Because in this state, everyone knows someone from your hometown. And if you know, you know. This is Dirty on Jersey. And welcome to the Dirty on Jersey podcast, the pilot episode. So this is definitely going to be a fun one. As most pilots, sometimes they don't succeed, but this one I got a lot of faith in. But how it's going to change over time, how the layout's going to change is definitely going to be something new for me. So thanks for coming along for this journey. And this is the Dirty on Jersey podcast. And what I'm pretty much going to do is just kind of go over what's going on in New Jersey, giving the Dirty on Jersey, some of the news that doesn't get really reported that much, that might not, that actually might affect your life, or you might not have heard about, that you might find interesting. So, thanks for coming along for the ride, and let's get into it. And up first for the story that, how not to cover it, and it pretty much affected the entire state, was the record heat that we had. And I've lived in Jersey my whole life, and I can't remember it ever having a heat wave, which for us is, I think, it has to say 90 degrees Fahrenheit for as highs for 3 straight days. And we were hitting 100. This is June. This is, I don't know, not normal, but this is early. Records were set, so this means obviously this has happened before, but it was just, the heat was, it was more of the humidity, and if you were in the area, you knew, and surprisingly enough, not a lot of thundrstorms. That was a surprise, but it's this is the kind of weather that we get here in Jersey. We go from negative 30 degree wind chills in the winter to 100 degree, heat indexes in the summer, and it's just wild. But that's Jersey weather for us, And hell, I've seen it snow on Halloween and snow on Mother's Day. So this is just how New Jersey is definitely it definitely has one of a kind weather. So yeah, but that actually rolls us into the next story that I wanted to cover, and it was actually pretty insane because due to the heat. In Patterson, there were 2 graduations that had over 100-something people have pass out or have some sort of medical issue because of the heat, because of how hot it was, and people wearing gowns and people dress up for these type of events for graduations, and it's just, if it's going to be that hot, just move it indoors. It's just so much easier. But I do know that it might be more difficult to get that many people indoors. I had that happen at my graduation, where instead of it being outside, it had to be inside due to the weather. And it was a thunderstorm that rolled through, and just happened to be that just the way that it is. And surprisingly enough, it was 20 years ago. Insane, but it's just insane to see how much the weather is impacting us now. And from my perspective, growing up in this kind of climate, we had, as kids, we actually had this, the seasons of spring and fall and winter and summer. You could tell that there was a noticeable difference in between the seasons. Now it's just we're going straight from winter to summer. And the more people I've talked to about this, it's just they say it too. It's the changes of the seasons don't really happen. It's more of it's not really like a rainy season, wet season, dry season. No, it's just more of snow and wild, sometimes thunderstorms and heat in the summer. It's just crazy weather, but this is Jersey weather. And with this last news article that I found quite interesting this past week was the kind of a reopening of the Lyndhurst train station that got replaced. And it actually it's incredible. People don't realize how much some of these projects take, because they do take a long time. There's a lot that goes into it, and sometimes these what people don't realize is the history behind some of these things. The original station was actually 107 years old. So at the cost of $31 million to replace it, got 107 years out of the old one. That's a pretty long time. But a lot of people see these numbers and don't realize that there's a lot that goes into it. And when we neglect our infrastructure, which it seems like we are starting to neglect our infrastructure even more now. So in New Jersey, it's a running joke that with the potholes sinkholes in Route 8, and now the 287 incidences where the road's buckling because of the concrete and I believe it was where the bridge met they were saying it was where the bridge met the roadways. It was just complete chaos this past week with driving again with traffic. So this is New Jersey for you. So this is the state of the New Jersey public transit system here too. So growing up and especially living in New Jersey, you have the option to either have, depending on where you live, you have the option to either if you have a car, great, but you'll probably be dealing with traffic depending on how close you are to the city. Then you've got anything from mass transit, such as trains, which are usually pretty decent whenever I took them. Buses, they're pretty decent from whenever I took them. But sometimes you got nothing, or sometimes you got these little local buses that take you to and from places. But NJ Transit is just expanding some of their lines out further into western and northwestern New Jersey, with some of their train lines moving into Andover. And it's a good start, but these areas are building up fast, and it just seems like New Jersey's changing. And I've always kind of got this feeling that eventually how the city started moving out in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to the suburbs, and you had, the Bergen County change over from farmland to, small towns to condominiums to, and then you have these big monster apartment complexes all over the place. It's just they can't build any more land, so they just keep building up. It's just insane. And Bergen County's become oversaturated, so people keep moving further out west. And I'm starting to see it where I live, that it's expanding, and a lot of these developers are coming in and taking over the farmland. So it just seems like a cycle too. So it's been pretty interesting. But yeah, that is the last article of the night. So thank you guys for listening to this podcast. It really does mean a lot to me. I'm kind of trying to figure things out here as I go along, but I just had to put, as they say, pen to paper to get something out there and see where I can go with it. Because, the first one's not always going to be perfect, but you got to start somewhere. Everything has a beginning, and, maybe this is the beginning of something. This is something that I'm interested in. So I'm curious to see where this goes. So as always, guys, thank you guys for listening. And let's see how often I can get some of these podcasts in, especially, raising a family and, taking care of the duties that need to be taken care of at home. So it's always going to be fun to balance that. But that's the reality of real life right now. So that's what I kind of want to give to this podcast, is kind of show the reality of what life is, especially living in New Jersey, and, possibly even interview people or, interview historians. I love museums. There's a ton of museums around New Jersey, and it's just incredible to see how much history there is here. So I'm kind of exploring the ideas of maybe introducing some historical, going to historical places and interviewing some of the people who work there for the museum. So this is just an idea, because New Jersey has a lot of history. New Jersey has a lot of political drama BS. So that's just the way that New Jersey's been known for and is. But we try our best here. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting podcast. So thank you guys for listening to the pilot episode 1 of the Dirty on Jersey podcast. And I'll hopefully have another one out in a few days. So thank you very much.